Hello everyone, my name is Jason Hill, and today we're going to be sculpting Judge Dredd. Here's the image we end up with, and then let's jump in. Yeah, so I'm just trying to get dynameshing as quickly as possible when I'm doing a sketch like this, and I usually just start with a sphere or whatever. At this point, I don't really even know how much of the bust is going to be there. I know it's going to be kind of a bust. I know it's going to be Judge Dredd. I thought it'd be cool to do a little bit of hard surface in Zbrush, which I don't do a ton of, and that like Dr. Dredd, Judge Dredd, Dr. Dredd, by the way, sounds awesome. I've wanted to call him Dr. Dredd a lot. Like I should do a mashup where like he makes really cool, expensive headphones or something. But anyways, this like Grimace he's got on here, that was something that I wanted to try to sculpt. I put together like a reference sheet of Judge Dredd images from comic book covers and stuff that I liked, and there was one in particular that had this awesome super Grimace. So there's that, and the movie that came out not too long ago, which I didn't super like the movie. A lot of my friends really liked it, but I did really like the actor that played him. The character was really good. So he seemed like a fun character to make. And since like most of his upper head is covered, it's really just I kind of get to focus on the part that I wanted to try and sculpt, and that's this Grimace, this kind of cartoon Grimace. Yeah. So now I'm bringing in primitives to try to figure out how I'm going to go about making this helmet. So right now my idea is, well, let's get some primitives in here and start like intersecting them, and then maybe we'll just dynamesh and then Z-remesher so that I get the shape that I wanted, like the strong shapes of the primitive shapes, and then Z-remesher will help reinforce those shapes when I divide up. So anyways, that's my plan right now. My plan right here is, I'm making this overall shape, and then with the mask, I'm painting the shape I want, and I'm going to give it thickness this way, and then kind of delete the part that I don't need. So at least that's my plan, but from what I remember, the plan didn't go to plan. Yeah, you're going to see me trying to extrude a lot. Right here, I even did a difference, and you see that gave me an okay result. I sort of morph target and then negatively inflated it, and then made a mesh from the difference, and that I thought that's what I was gonna do for a while, but yeah, I don't remember the details. I just remember struggling trying to get this to work. But I also know that I'm gonna separate the trim. There's gonna be that red trim, so yeah, I'm not exactly sure how I'm gonna do that yet while I'm making this, but I'm trying to get those clean lines that I want. Yeah, you see me like trying to dynamesh it and just keep screwing up. So anyways, yeah, helmet talks. It looks like now I'm gonna make the visor. Okay. And then, so I'm playing around with trying to figure out how to make the hard surface shapes. But what I end up doing too, what I like to do is, after I get pretty far along, and I still want to reestablish maybe strong shapes that I had before, or try to improve shapes that I have, I'll use the Transpose Master from the Z plugin dropdown, and that'll just merge all my subtools so I can move them together. And then when I can transfer that back to those individual subtools. So I'm not really worried about the overall shapes and how they relate to each other right now, like in terms of the helmet fitting the head, because I know I'm still trying to figure out how to build this helmet. Like I feel like I don't have the helmet base mesh done yet, is kind of how I'm thinking of it. A lot of it is still just experimentation. Yep. Soon here, I just give up. I'm trying over and over to, and I think I remember that trim, that was the problem right here, is I actually had the helmet shape, but it was that the trim, the red part, that because I made different polygroups and deleted it after I'd already made the thickness, that was really the issue. Is I should have made this trim, what I'm trying to do now, before I made the thickness. So now that I made the thickness, it seems like there's nothing I can really do. So I'm trying to get the thickness back the same way I did before, with a difference, a mesh from the morph target. But what I end up doing is I just take it into Maya and I extrude it that way. Because I know I'm going to end up dynameshing it anyway. I mean, it's going to be a dynamesh and probably even a Z-remesher mesh at the end. So I'm just trying to maintain. You see how hard the edges are here? So I'm trying to maintain that. Even here, I'm moving verts. I'm snapping things so that it's very straight. So that when I bring it in and dynamesh it, it's going to soften it up a little bit, but not too much. It'll still look kind of realistic, like as if you clear coated something with paint. So yeah. Yeah, well, this one I actually was streaming on Twitch, so that's kind of a first for me too. Is like just messing around with the screen recording or the project that I'm doing on Twitch, so people can ask questions and stuff and throw out suggestions. And that actually happened. I got some cool suggestions for this one. You'll see me doing it later, but you saw from the beginning of the video the crack in the glass. That was from someone in chat. Thought it would be cool, and I was like, yeah, that would be cool. And then adding scars and stuff. So it was fun. Like, it ended up being a lot better than I even predicted. I wasn't sure what to think about going into streaming, doing this sort of thing, because it's not that entertaining compared to like watch people play games. But for the few people that do find it interesting and want to be involved, I actually found it really fun and extra rewarding. So I think it's something that I'm going to be continuing to do. And I'm trying to think of, I'm coming up with something to sculpt for my next project, which would be similar to this kind of thing. Like short, manageable little project that's just like a one-off, like a bust or a head or something like that. I'm not sure. I'm using the clip brush here to maintain some, like a really clean edge right there. Yes, you see here, I'm still playing with the shape. I'm actually like right there, I'm actually kind of intentionally leaving some gap in between the trim and the helmet so that the shadows will get in there and be a little bit uneven, hoping that that makes it look more natural instead of too perfect. Here we go. Yeah, so now I'm diving back in the face. So far, I only like kind of blocked it out a bit. And then what I did, what you saw me doing there is I made some harder edges on the lip crease and the edge of the nose and stuff like that. And then did a Z-remesher. I divided that, then did a Z-remesher. So the Z-remesher would make a mesh and have supporting edges in the places that I thought would be important. So I was kind of making corners, if that makes sense, on my base mesh so that when it Z-remeshes like this, I can go back and there's enough resolution on the parts like the lip crease that give me enough resolution to do what I want. So I'm going to keep it mirrored for a pretty long time here. I'm just indicating important features and landmarks I think that I want to keep in there. So a lot of little marks that I make towards the beginning of a head or a sculpt, little sketches, I'll just mark in notes as they come to me, like things that I think are important that I want there in the end. It's kind of a way of like visually tallying that so that it's there as I sculpt it and I go, oh, that's right. And I'll keep touching it or whatever, but I kind of start with the to-do list of the things I definitely do want in there. And then a lot of stuff I don't know I want in there, I don't even know that yet. I'm just going to play around and see what kind of happens. Here's one of the last hard surface bits, is this kind of emblem on his helmet. That's not clean enough. So here I'm making poly groups. And then I do a panel loops, I think, yeah. Under the edge loop. Drop down, I did a panel loops. So I can dictate the bevel and the thickness. And then this little hole here, I don't know, sometimes weird stuff happens. I just patched it myself. So yeah, there we go. So you can see what I mean. It's not that hard surfacey, just a little bit. But I just thought it was something fun that I could do entirely in Zbrush, except for that time I cheated in Maya. But other than that, right here you see me in the transpose mesh I was speaking about earlier. So you can see in the subtool, everything's one tool right now. I just masked the head so I can like smash and move and just make big adjustments to the helmet until it feels better to me. And I'm not really basing that on anything. It's just like I want it to feel good. You know, it's kind of like a hat on someone. You know, some hats look better on other people, and you gotta make sure the hat fits. You know, I think also we're gonna see me constantly reestablishing the Grimace. Like these corners keep getting more and more bent and out. Like as I'm sculpting, he keeps going harder and harder. This is really, really disapproving. I also spend way too much time on the eyes because it's not even in here. But I'm liking how it looks with the helmet down, and that's probably because just Judge Dredd is so iconic, and it's a really good. I think it's a really good design. Like, it just frames this monster man chin and Grimace. It looks nice and clean. I like that kind of old, simpler type of design. You can see me crisping it up some more. Yep, gonna be a lot of Grimace shaping. I mean, it's like the most important part, really. I also chose this type of style of helmet. You know, when you're doing research or reference, gathering a bunch of pictures of something, you're gonna kind of come across like a wide variety of SKUs and also kind of a visual history of the character design or the design you're looking up. And so doing fan art, just doing something for fun, kind of lets you pick the thing that you gravitate towards naturally or like. And in this case, it was that kind of short, stubby helmet. I like that. Kind of aggressive to me and more, I don't know, it's kind of smaller too, I guess. But I liked it. There's this bell shape that I liked. That it's small up top and then heavy down at the bottom. So like his head is a bell. With his big square jaw that squares off with his helmet. So something that I kind of liked from the art that I saw and something I wanted to keep. Kind of stubby. So I just extracted the shirt. I just painted a mask on the body, and then I might have actually made it a poly group and then panel looped again. When you panel loop, I think you just saw actually. Well, I just remeshed it, but when you panel loop, you get a poly group of the thing that you extracted as well as the edge. So it kind of lets you keep things crisp, and it helps for making the shape. So when you get to this point where I like some of the lines that I'm doing, but because it's mirrored, it doesn't look that great. So I'm kind of jumping ahead here probably, but it's okay. A lot of the time I get to putting texture on skin quicker than I probably should, but that's probably what I just spoke about too. While I'm sculpting it, I'm probably feeling like it's too symmetrical, you know? So I'm laying down the symmetry and now I'm sculpting asymmetrically. So that's really what I wanted to do. I wanted to get the texture down on the face as soon as I could, so I could start putting imperfections on it. here I made a layer for asymmetry, and I broke it up because it would just drive me crazy looking at it. And that kind of like face you want on him is like a, you know, like a guy with just a mug, like he's just like a catcher's mitt. Just wanted a big meaty man face. Yeah, so breaking them up and making it asymmetrical is kind of important to that. You want it to be kind of ugly and stuff, so like scars everywhere and weird wrinkles, and the dude's been places. So here I thought it would be cool to kind of simulate the paint chipping. I duplicated the object I made for the trim, and I negatively inflated the copy that would become my metal. And so I kind of had a representation of paint on the metal, and then with different brushes I'm chipping away that paint. So the effect is a little bit closer to how it'd normally be. So you can see like there's actually some thickness in the paint. And in some places I'm choosing to not punch all the way through, but just to damage the paint. And I'm hoping this adds some layer detail right there and helps out the render. Here I'm trying to scratch all the way through. You can see it's actually a little too thick sometimes. So yeah, just continuing to chip away the paint, kind of damage some stuff. And here someone in the chat suggested breaking the helmet, and that just got me thinking about a lot of stuff. I kind of thought of making a scar, it's just as a cliche because scars are cool. And then when it came to breaking the glass, I thought that's a really cool opportunity to show the break in the glass and then the paint scuff. You can kind of try to tell a story there, or at least tie in some different damage elements so that it's not all kind of random and that there's some sense to it. So I'm just going to obsess over the crack shapes for a while until I get something that I'll live with for a little bit. And then later on I kind of put some little pieces on the base too, so it doesn't feel so naked on the corner. Now I'm kind of playing around with the idea of some kind of scar or damage there, even though that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. In the end, there's kind of two stories I'm telling, and this scar is probably not really part of it because I make the scar seem old. And even though it's kind of in line with this damage, it makes sense that that's part of it. But in the end, I kind of made an image that's a little bit about him just murdering a bunch of people. Just maximum judge action. And he's kind of done with, I don't know, killing a room full of people or doing something badass of that nature. And so this scar being kind of older is just kind of more about he's been there and he's been a badass for a long time. Here I'm playing with the fiber mesh settings to try to get some stubble that I like. And by painting in and out of the mask with just some sensitivity, I can kind of control the density a little bit that way. So, yeah, I try to do that to make it seem like the hair follicles are stretching in some places and are clumping up naturally. But the fiber mesh is pretty cool. It's pretty easy. And the stubble I thought was kind of important to this guy. And so yeah, it's pretty cool that it's so easy to do that now. And this is the zipper brush. Comes with the program too. Now I'm making a big cartoony zipper for him. That was me playing with cartoon chin. Oh yeah, to make that chin a lot more butt-like. So now I'm going to take a break and do some collar stuff. I know that putting the edge on that collar is going to be important. A little bit of detail there that isn't meant to take your attention. It's just to look noisy in that area so that it just doesn't look bare. So I kind of look forward to doing that sometimes. Even though it's kind of boring in real time, you just listen to music and very slowly you try to make these rows of stitches. But it's rewarding in the end. put some wrinkles here, and I'm doing it asymmetrically because why not? But just so the collar looks a little bit more lived in here. Same thing here with the shirt, just kind of putting a little bunch, a little clump and pinches there. So I'm trying to, even though it's subtle, the things I'm doing to the shirt, I'm just trying to touch all the areas because nothing would be perfect. And now I know this is gold, so I'm trying to dink it in a way that it's kind of soft. This gold's kind of soft, so I don't want to make it look very chiseled. But yeah, just trying to make it look imperfect. It's kind of what I'm doing with everything right now. So here's the final image again. Once I was done, I painted it up really quick in poly paint, and then brought it into key shot and arranged this shot. I knew I wanted to do a profile, and then I layered some photo grunge on there and some blood splatter, and kind of tried to really make it look like he'd just done some really Judge Dreddy things, you know. So I spent several hours actually in Photoshop, and that could be a subject of another video. If you guys are into that, the rendering and presentation part at the end is a pretty big deal. You saw that sculpt. There wasn't much to that sculpt, but I'm pretty happy with how the image came out. So yeah, anyways, if you guys like the video, like it. If you like content like this, go ahead and subscribe. And if you have ideas for more subject matter or things you'd like to see, go ahead and post in the comments or tweet me or whatever. That'd be cool. I'd love to hear from you guys. If you wanted to check out my last video where I do a channel update and some random stories. So please like, share, comment, and subscribe. See you guys later.